Hello. In this video I will prove that the moon is a reflection of Earth, and secondly, we live on a gigantic ball. I came to this conclusion by assuming Earth is enclosed in a big mirror plasma ball. Hello everybody. For those who didn't see the first part, I'm giving you a 30-second review of part 1. Here it comes. We are going to start with the spherical theory. So, it's simple. We take a ball and we call it Earth. We surround this ball with another ball and we call it the plasma belt. Then we take the sun and we let it shine on the Earth. The Earth is giving a reflection on the plasma belt. And on the plasma belt we see our own reflection. The reflection is, surprise, the moon. What do you mean the moon is the reflection of Earth? What do you mean? Where are all the rivers and the forests? Yeah, but let's suggest that Earth is 1,000 times bigger than we are told. Then the moon is a reflection of a gigantic big Earth. So, watch the little crater moving around. So why did I put a crater in the ball? I was observing the moon's surface and I thought, meteorite impacts? No way. Now, that's more like it. But then you need air. Another reason to reject the idea that the moon is a rock in space. So let's take one air bubble and compare that with the moon craters. So let's take that air bubble again. Replace it with the flat Earth map. Put some water into it. You see that the North Pole is the eye of the vortex. Put that on a bigger ball. And then you see low tide and high tide. So now we end up with this. We have a bigger Earth, a small crater, and two suns. But we still have a problem. If you watch carefully, you see that one part of the crater is in constant darkness. So let's go back to the moon. Here you see the images of the moon, but the moon is stabilized. Here you see the unstabilized movie. You can see that the Earth is wobbling. It's going up and down, up and down. So let's go back to Mr. X. Mr. X is spinning around, but he is also going up and down. The sun is below him, above him, below him, above him. Now you see the sun is above the crater. The top side of the crater is dark. Now the sun is below the crater and the low side of the crater is in darkness. Here you see the total image. Let's presume a drone is hovering above the crater. It would be seeing this. Now look at the upper side of the crater. Darkness, light. Now the downside, light, dark. So one part of our biosphere is receiving daylight from the reflected sun, and the other part of the biosphere is receiving daylight from the real sun. So, what would be winter and summer? I think the moon is making 3 movements: spinning, wobbling, and I think the 3rd movement is slightly moving from its position. To be absolutely sure, you have to study the moon for 34 years to have 1 year in real time. Here I move Earth closer to the sun on one side and now on the other side. Winter on one side, summer on the other, and vice versa. Here is the end animation. Instead of wobbling the Earth, I had a higher light and a lower light. That would give the same effect. Now we have the final question. Where exactly on the moon is the Earth situated? To examine this, I have taken one movement of the moon and I have lit up the dark side, so I can check out the movement. Now I can draw 2 lines wherein the Earth is moving. The bottom and the top. Watch the black spot on the right. Now I can put a red line between the blue lines, so that is the axis on which the craters are moving from dark to light. Only on this axis you have craters with the day and night of 12 hours. So on the left you see the white spot. That is crater Copernicus. On the right side you see a black spot. That is called Mare Crisium. So let's take Google Maps and zoom in. On the left you see crater Copernicus, and on the right Mare Crisium. So you have to draw an axis between those two. Then we will zoom in and look for planets. Oops, what is that? Exactly on the place. I was looking for some craters. That could be planet Earth. You see this. What is it? At first I was thinking, well, it's a cover-up. But now, when I looked at it for the second time, I see that they are actually changing the shadows. You see, shadow on the right, shadow on the left, shadow on the right. Look at the smaller ones there. Are we living in a big hole or a small hole? I'm not sure. Time will tell. That's it. Now you can reject the idea of the plasma ball, or you can accept it. If you accept it, you will wake up on a bigger Earth. If you reject it, you can keep on dreaming of space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the New World Order Enterprise. Its continuing mission to invent new worlds, to destroy our lives and our civilization, to sell more lies than anyone has done before. Listen to this. Okay, but now we have one giant problem. One side of the Earth has been lit by the reflection of the sun, but the other side is dark. How is that possible if the sun is shining there? And then I remembered from our good friends, the Nazis, they had a cult of the Schwarze Sonne, the black sun. So I thought, maybe our sun is black. That was a gigantic idea, and I will explain it to you. Well, the old theory is you have darkness and the light is shining in the darkness. What if this theory was wrong? Let's suggest that there is black light and white light. And white light would be the inversion, the reflection of black light. So if you have a black sun shining and it mirrors in the plasma, it could become white light. So white light is the reflection of the black light in the plasma belt. So when you are standing outside at night, the black light is shining on you. I know it sounds crazy, but let's assume that water is reflecting black light and is turning it into white light. Plasma is a form of water. So, if the black light is shining at night on the earth, the black light will be reflected by the water on the earth, and it will become white light. That white light will reflect on the plasma belt. So if you look in the sky and you see all those white dots, that could be all water worlds on a gigantic globe. So the stars would be a map of the Earth reflected on the plasma belt. So, and what star would be the Earth? Well, it's quite simple. There is only one star that is not moving. That is the polar star, Polaris. So when you see a time lapse of the stars turning, that means that the Earth is turning, and at the center stands Polaris. So I looked on the internet for a photo of Polaris, and I discovered one, the best possible resolution. So I took Polaris. I made it a little bit darker, and then I took the flat Earth. Oh my God! This is not true. Yes, I guess it is true. We are Polaris. We are the reflection. Polaris is the reflection of Earth. If we could take a gigantic telescope, we could see ourselves mirrored on the plasma belt. So I really don't know if you're still sitting in your chair. You might be lying on the floor, laughing or crying, I don't know. Maybe you say, this guy is nuts. Okay, no problem. But I'm afraid I might be right. Sleep well, my friends. Okay, people, follow the guide and let's dive into our crater. In front of us, we see the Himalaya. Let's follow this mountain ridge and that brings us to Africa. In the middle there, you see the Mediterranean Sea and Europe. Move to the right and yes, Greenland is a continent, people. Let's zoom out to the Americas, lying at the wrong place, as you see. On the right there, you see a hidden sea, but more about that later. Let's move on, people, follow the guide. Zoom in on Australia. And finally some land masses like Indonesia, Thailand, Cambodia, and India. So this is the end of our tour, and may I present you the final crater Earth map. And finally, let's have an overview and put in the continents. Don't forget the guide, please. And here it is, the official New World Map. Let's take a look now at the hidden sea. Let's zoom in. You clearly see two passages there. That brings you out of our crater. And when you go to the right into Antarctica, that brings you to Mount Miro, from where you have a beautiful view on our continents. So the few years I have been making videos now, people have been sending me messages to look into the convex Earth. Well, they were right. We also have a clue of Walt Hitler, showing us the hidden sea and also the passage to it. So someone asked me, hey, what about your escape from flat earth theory? What happened to it? Well, let me show you what I think they did. For this example, I will paint two mountains in white. So now let's zoom in into the first one, the closest one to South America. This one has been presented to us as being a part of Antarctica, but let's zoom out. There you see the real peak of Antarctica. Take a look at the Google Maps view. So they just took the silhouette of the Antarctica peak and they swamped places. Now, if by any chance an admiral on a battleship would be listening to this video, and that would be one chance in a trillion, I would advise him, take your battleship and follow the yellow brick road. That would bring you to the gateway out of our crater. But be careful, be aware. You will meet some heavy artillery fire. By doing this, you would be of great service to humanity. You would show the world the bigger Earth and free us from our crater prison. Back to reality. Let's go back to the subject of the movement of the sun. Some people reacted in the comment that I made a mistake. They were right, because the sun was rising in the west. I guess I was thinking from left to right, and I forgot that Japan is the land of the rising sun, of course. Some people were suggesting I should use the analemma, and then I would only need one sun. But as you see in the example, there are holes in the time frame. For the moment, I'm going to keep on working with the two systems. We'll see how this evolves. Let's make an animation with the new map. And here you see, when one system is fading out, the other system is moving in. Let's zoom in on the first system. Moving over the Americas, going down, and there you see the sun is moving across the hidden sea. That is probably the reason it is not frozen. And back to its starting point. Let's zoom in on the second sun, that might be more interesting. First, take a freeze frame. I think this is the international date line. From there the sun is moving to the left. Let's slow it down a bit. So at the position where you would have the Greenwich meridian line, the sun is moving towards Antarctica. I think the international date line is actually the silhouette of our crater. Now you have a counter-rotating system. Here with 4 suns, 2 suns. But now I have a new problem, because the sun is rising in the west, in the Americas. A solution might be you have 2 compasses, one normal and one inverted. That might be very useful when you are falsifying flight routes. So now I might be debunking my own theory of north lines and south lines. But that's okay, because I'm making these videos to find the truth and not for being right. Let's return to our supercomputer Ra. A very interesting video might be one of Doug Vogt, where he reconstructs the Hebrew letters with a sine wave in a torus.
I'm going to basically be going around, this is the 0 place, and we're going to go around every 45 degrees around the middle. We go around, and you're going to view 8 of the letters, the top and the bottom. See that? That's the origin of the heart shape. And also viewed from the bottom, you'll have one of the letters also. We'll go through it all.
Another interesting figure is Nasim Haramein. In his first videos, he explains that Yahweh is a tetragrammaton.
So I split them in 2, and then I slid the bottom part into the top part. Match the lines to generate the star tetrahedron. I would have 8 star tetrahedrons coming together to generate the 64 tetrahedron grid.
The 64 tetrahedron. You could fit Metatron's cube in it, or the double Solomon star the Atlanteans are using to terraform our crater. So you could put the 64 tetrahedron on our crater. The first Solomon star within the center Solomon, Jerusalem. The second one, the third one, and that fits into the 64 tetrahedron, which is in my view the ley lines. So I think you can put this one in the garbage can. Now you can start pulling in this pattern with buildings. With obeliska, basilica, cathedra, pyramids, ziggurats. You see, all these words refer to the Baraka system. Now you have 3 possibilities. The supercomputer Ra is hovering above the Earth, and the Earth is spinning around. Second possibility, Ra is spinning around above a motionless ball Earth. Or possibility 3, they are both spinning. May I present you Terra, or the Taurus of Ra. Ra is ruling with terror, playing God, the creator. The Ka in the Taurus of Ra. So Crater is also the Ka in the Taurus of Ra. For people who saw my video, the Vikings were Jews. In that video I explained that I think that English is reversed Hebrew. When you reverse Terra, you get the word Aret. What would Scotty from Star Trek say to Captain Kirk? Scotty would say, "Alright, Captain, let's get our spaceship back to planet Aret." Welcome back, everybody. Today I will offer you some more evidence of the bigger Earth. As you know, I think that the moon map is the map of the bigger Earth. Recently I came to the conclusion that the images of the shuttle are actually images of the bigger Earth. I used to think, like all flat earthers, that all NASA images were CGI, so I refused to look at them. So let's take a look at the new evidence, which are the images you are looking at right now. Nothing special, you will think. Think star constellations. Look at the strange light pattern. Now you see the camera is turning because they want to show you something. And off they go, flying around the Earth, which is hard to believe for me that it's not a ball. But for the moment that's not important, so let's turn this back and see what we can find about this star system. Because I think this star constellation is the Pleiades. Here you see various pictures of it, but none of them is exactly the same. And that is probably because it is filmed from a different angle. Let's take that as our first puzzle piece and see if there is any confirmation in the following pieces. Well, if this is Pleiades, we might take a look at the other constellations in the neighborhood of the Pleiades. So, next to the Pleiades we have Taurus. Taurus with the V shape, but only one star is visible, and that would be Aldebaran. Next to Taurus we have Orion. Well, I tried to find the exact location of the stars, but maybe this picture will make it a bit clearer. A man holding a club. For the people who remember a video from the older days, where I tried to find the star pattern of Orion on the moon map, I was able to find Orion and the Pleiades. Let's relocate this cluster of craters. go to the moon map, and there of course we have our crater Sulpicius Gallus M, which is the star Sirius. Let's move to the right to the 3 stars of Orion. Move it more north to the cluster of craters reflected in the firmament as Pleiades. Let's start from this location and see if we can find some more evidence. Let's zoom in. Let's start with this remarkable place here. Now take a look at the shuttle map, and we can find a very strange spot here. Let's zoom in and compare. It's at a different angle, of course, but we're getting close. Let's take a look again at the shuttle images and take a look at this strange crater. Back to the moon map and go to the right from that strange spot. Compare the location again. Take a close-up of the 2 craters, the one on the moon map and the one from the shuttle images. For people who saw my video Crater Earth and the Phantom Planets, know that this crater reflected in the dome is the Kuiper belt, or the Kuiper belt.
And here we go again, people. The flying ball circus. Using this music, I must be crazy.
Well, I wonder who is crazy here. Zoom out again, so you have the spot, the strange spot, the Kuiper belt, and here below you have the claw form. Back to the shuttle images and zoom into this claw form and compare it. Now move to the right, looking for similarities. I don't know about you, but I see a lot of similarities, and especially the Kuiper belt. When you take a look again at these images, you realize that the reflection of this piece of land is our solar system. When you hear the word global warming, you start seeing things in different perspective. In the previous video I showed you images of Mars. You have the crater, the Snake River and the feather on the foreground. So I found a new one. There it is. The snake. Compare it with previous images of Mars, quite similar, with the feather on the foreground. While I was making this video, one of my viewers posted a link. Well, you can't believe this. Look at the date. I will put a link for the article. Possibility of intelligent life on Mars. Well, I hope they don't refer to themselves. But it's very interesting. Look at the 2 pictures they are showing. These are exactly the same I have been showing in the previous video. You have the feather, and you have this little crater by the seaside. Very strange. Probably all coincidence. Let me come back to the previous video I deleted. Well, the reason was very simple. I made a mistake. Let me explain it to you. I thought the images you are seeing now were images of our crater. I clearly saw the silhouette of our crater, but the main element was that I also saw the airstrip of the Epcot map. I even made a 3D map of what I thought was our crater, and you see Mount Miro, the V-shaped entrance, so I thought, yeah, this is it. But when I published this video, one of my viewers reported, hey, I know this place. It is the Valley of Searles, the village of Trona. So I checked it out on Google Maps and damn! So I had no other option than to remove the video. But as I was making a video to apologize, I still had this sneaking suspicion that something was wrong. They even showed us 2 times this Searles Trona, one in summertime, one in wintertime. So they want us to see this. But why? So I started to rewatch the videos of our good friend Richard Branson. I watched them over and over and over again until I finally cracked it. Let me first explain what Richard Branson is doing exactly. He is creating space tourism. What is space tourism? Well, you shoot people out of our crater and you show them the bigger Earth. You show them the planets, the stars, spaceship Earth. Okay, let's analyze this video. So you see the mothership releasing the aircraft. Now the aircraft is flying above the Californian mountains. The mothership returns to base. The aircraft is ascending vertically. Look at the sky. The sky is going from blue to black. That means that the aircraft is going into space. Here you have the Californian mountains again. Once in space, the aircraft goes horizontally. And from there you can see the bigger Earth. At least that was what I thought. So they threw out the bait and I ate it. Where did I go wrong? Now I know that these are the mountains of California, but these are the mountains of bigger Earth. But what are we looking at? So I watched it over and over again. It's like some kind of mind control is in my brain, preventing me from seeing the obvious. And then I realized, think Epcot. Now I see it, it's almost ridiculous. I couldn't see it. You have Epcot, the industrial park area, and the entrance complex. But what is this spot then? Take a look again at the Epcot map in Blender, and there next to Epcot you see a valley. This is the valley next to Epcot. And where would be our crater? Well, it would be around here. Why are they not showing the crater? Well, it would be too recognizable when they would show the continents. I thought I had an image of crater Earth, but it seems like I have an image of Epcot now. Let's zoom in and take a closer look. Are these roads or buildings? Take a look at the Searles Valley map. Obvious question is, why am I seeing the airport of the future silhouette of the Disney World map? What is happening here? When you put the two maps next to each other, it's almost identical. It's almost like the rocks have the same shape. Airport of the future, entrance complex, industrial park area and Epcot, all there. At this stage I'm starting to see the silhouette of Great Britain. Take a look at the Searles Valley. On the right the Virgin Galactic pictures and on the left the Google Maps version. Completely unrealistic, it's almost a cartoon. To understand the size of it, look at the little houses in the front. After looking at it for a few minutes, I understood it's a pattern I have seen before. In Disneyland, Mecca. In Mecca you even see Antarctica, the white part. This, of course, is the silhouette of our crater. Let's compare all the top views and take the silhouette with the pyramid and the circle. Put it on Disneyland. Our crater, which is shown in a slightly different angle, and then of course Searles Trona, clearly the same pattern. Take a look at the center. In the center of Disneyland you have the Templar's Cross. In Mecca you have the black stone, and here, I don't know, at first I thought it's a menorah, or maybe an Isis, or a reversed scarab, but it will have something to do with our brain again. At that point I was thinking, well, if the crater is the head, then maybe the rest of the Epcot map is the body. So I put a human body in it. Well, I very soon understood that it is not a male body, but a female body. Please welcome Trona, Searles Trona. The crater is the brain. Epcot is the heart. Epcot probably stands for Apep-Cot. Apep house, the house of the Apep energy. The industrial park area stands for intestines. And now it comes the parasite humor. The entrance complex stands for the vagina and the womb. And finally, of course, the airport of the future are the feet. Now, some of my viewers will say it is a fossilized giant. Well, never say never. Maybe you can put this on the Great Britain map? Another viewer mailed me and he said, you have to look at the Disney Epcot Center in Orlando. I think they are rebuilding our crater there too. But I saw something else. I saw they were recreating our brain. And it was going very far, because take a look at this. A racetrack. Same in Searlestrona. And what about this strange form? Same in the Searles Valley. Why put millions of dollars in things like that unless it has some use? So I started looking for some brain parts with a similar shape, and that brought me to the shape of the ear, the hearing center and the balance center of the inner ear. This form is the recreation of the human head. But from this point it even got weirder, because let's zoom in on the brain, and there you see that our brain is in contact with another brain. Look at this strange head here. Follow the arrow. What is that? Zoom in a bit. What have we got here? A pyramid shape. Interesting. And what is it? It is the Dolphin Resort. Dolphin Resort? Okay, let's follow this path. Let's take the skull of a dolphin. What do we see? They are showing us the brain of a dolphin parasiting on a human brain. Is it that what I want to say here? First thing that is shooting through my mind is this one. Or are we talking fish god here? The Dagon. I remember watching in the 70s as a child a series called Man from Atlantis.
Start testing right away. I want to know his speed, agility, strength, and stamina. Holy mackerel.
Mark Harris. He's the only link between our world and those other strange civilizations. Civilizations that defy our imaginations.
Some people have brought Greater Earth in connection with Q. Let me explain what I think about it. People realize they are locked up in a prison. An energy is building up and people want to escape. But the slave masters know what to do. They build a second ring. And when people break the first ring, they are free. At least for a while. Until they bump onto the second ring. It's the old story of the red pill and the blue pill, of course. Let me explain how they build the second ring. First, you create the enemy, the Cabal. Then you create the Alliance, ready to pop up. It can be any minute now. Then you create the Exile, always very handy. These guys are innocent. Now they just have to wait for the right moment to activate this system. Trust the plan. People are fed up with the Tsar of Russia. In comes an exile, Lenin, who introduces communism, written by another exile, Marx, and they bring in this Stalin guy, mass murderer, who executes all the revolutionaries. People in South Africa have enough of their racist government. In comes an exile. People are fed up with the Shah in Iran. There's a big revolution and enters an exile who installs a religious dictatorship. We start seeing a pattern here. The French Revolution, people are fed up with aristocracy. Heads are being chopped off, but before you know it, some doctrine has entered the game. In comes our little dictator, Napoleon. Egypt, Cuba, China. The list is endless. People realize that the whole space story was one big lie. Worldwide revolutions are breaking out, but an American general is stepping forward. He is from the Alliance. They have been fighting the Cabal for a long time now, but they were waiting for the right moment. They always wanted to tell us that the whole space story was a lie, but they couldn't come out because they were not strong enough. The plan is activated. Now massive arrests are taking place. Some of the members of the Cabal presumably commit suicide. A trial is organized. Some patsies are sacrificed. Doppelgangers are locked up. Revolutionaries are being given medals, soon to be replaced by guillotines, because you have changed your democracy into a military dictatorship. A good military dictatorship of the Alliance. So the energy that was going to liberate you has even more enslaved you.